2, and 1. Live from Beverly Hills, Julie Sands.
Welcome. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Imaginate on All Access Broadcasting. I'm Julie Sands. We are live on Facebook and all social media. I want to thank you for joining us today. If you are watching from somewhere in your home, on your couch, at work, on your computer, let me know where you're watching from. What part of the world are you watching from? I know this show goes worldwide. We're getting hits from Brazil. I'm really popular in Japan. I don't know why, but hello, Japan. Hello, Brazil. Hello, world. Again, I'm Julie Sands. Welcome to Imaginate. I'm also the CEO of Shake It Up Now, a business and personal transformation company. Today is the third week in January, I believe, or second week in January, it was the 21st. This is episode 11, Against All Odds, a single mother's journey to success. You guys, I put out a casting call, I think about 2 weeks ago, asking single moms to write in if you want to be on the show, you want to tell your story, because I get a lot of single moms and single dads, I'm coming after you, so hang on there, that want to tell their story. They want to inspire other moms, other women, and other people that might find themselves in this situation. So episode 11 is a shout out to all you single moms, and I'm really excited for this show. I found, oh my God, a fabulous, inspiring single mom who is going to knock your socks off. So without further ado, welcome Kerry Thompson to the show. It is so good to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Julie. It's so great to be here. Thank you. I'm very honored.
Thank you. Kerry, let's just jump right into it. When you told me your story, I was blown away. Not only are you a single mom, I'm going to say right now she's a realtor. She has a very nice real estate career. She's also selling, what's the name of the product?
Jeunesse Youth Enhancement.
So she's doing two things, and I'm sure you're thinking about other things as well. But I always tell people, do not just have one job. You have to have multiple streams of income so that if something goes wrong, you have the other one to catch you. Especially you single moms out there, you have to have multiple streams of income. So hats off to you for just, putting yourself out there and trying multiple things in order to stabilize your family.
Thank you. Yes.
But let's get into, you were telling me earlier as we were prepping to go live about your childhood. And I think it's very important that you share that. And I know it's hard, but I think it's gonna help a lot of women out there. You were raised in the foster care system.
I was.
Tell us about that.
Actually in the foster care system most of my life, probably starting at the age of 13. I was raised by foster parents as well as being in group homes. So it was a difficult situation. The foster homes I was in, sometimes there was a mother and father type atmosphere. And then when I was in a group home, it was definitely like a family. There were 6 boys, 6 girls. It was a co-ed situation.
Oh, wow.
We had chores. We had different things that we had to do. And punishments were very dramatic. Our punishments were, if we did something, we had to walk down on a trail on a road. And it was, had to sit on a stump.
Oh my gosh.
So we would sit on the stump, whether it was 2 hours or 3 hours. That was my punishment. And those were some of the things that I had to deal with in the foster care system. And not only, you never felt like you were really wanted there because you were in and out all the time of the foster care system.
And you also saw kids coming in and out as well. Now, why? So you went into the foster care system at 13 years old, but what took you there? Was there a situation at home that you were taken away from your home life?
Yeah, there was. My mom at the time, which some of my friends know about this, but I don't really have a relationship with my mother. My mom was very absent, and so we kind of had run of whatever we wanted to do.
Okay.
And so
and at 13 you ended up
somewhere
in the foster
13
care
along
system.
the line, I got into the foster care system. And
gosh.
so I was taken away from my home. Yes, I was. Yeah.
That must have been really hard. At 13, you should be, exploring, I don't know, what things in junior high school and, band or cheerleading or soccer, and you're in the foster care system.
Yeah, I was.
You were not set up for success.
No,
for sure.
I was not. I was all over the place. I didn't know where I was going to go, what I was going to do, what school I was going to go to, because I was always pulled out of one particular home and I was, being transferred to another home. So I never knew what school I was going to go to. I didn't have that consistency in my lifestyle or those habits.
And so what goes through the mind of a 13-year-old little girl at night when you're in a strange bed, when your mom's not there, your dad's not there? What goes through a little girl's mind? Can you share that?
Yeah, you feel lost. You feel a sense of abandonment. You are alone. You don't know what you're going to do. You just feel like there's nobody there to help you. When you're crying, there's not really that attention that you normally would have, the hugs,
the love,
the affection, all the things that you normally would give your children. And so that was very difficult. That was a difficult time for me. And I did that for several years.
You had to comfort yourself.
I had to comfort myself. Everything that I learned, I want to say, is really that I learned everything on my own. I didn't have any profound situations or anything that were really something that I would remember as a child until I got older and I started understanding and I started learning and I started reaching and I started reading.
And so you self-educated.
Absolutely.
You taught yourself. I did that a lot as well when I was already married though.
Right.
And I knew that there was more. I just didn't know how to get it. So I say this all the time, you guys. I used to watch Oprah.
Yeah.
And I would sit and take notes watching Oprah.
Yeah.
I would watch Dr. Phil, and I would take notes watching Dr. Phil.
Right.
And then I just started listening to a lot more motivational people.
Absolutely.
Joel Osteen.
Right.
I mean, oh my gosh. The church I grew up in, Victory Outreach and Calvary Chapels, and all the preaching and the faith-based teaching.
Right.
I would take notes. But the thing is, you can't just take notes. You have to take notes, and then you have to apply it
Those
to
habits,
your life.
right.
Absolutely. And you have to change your habits. Otherwise, what's all this information for if you're not even changing your habits? You're not going to live it. You're not going to be able to live it.
Yeah.
So that's really key, you guys. You have to self-educate if you cannot afford a formal education, but you have to apply what you're learning.
Absolutely.
Group homes. So how do you go from foster care to a group home? Who decides, okay, you're not going to be in a regular home, you're going to a group home?
That's a great question. Typically, if the foster care system is full, then they don't have anywhere else to put you. So what they do is they move you into a group home, and you're in that group home until they can find a place to place you. So they call that placement. So yes.
Oh my gosh. And there's how many kids in a group home?
In the group home that I was in, there was 12 total. So there was 6 boys and 6 girls. And there were 6 girls on one side, boys on the other side. We met in the middle for dinner. We did chores. And then we would go back to our sides and we would read and we'd have free time. It was all of that.
And so how is the environment with the other kids? Are you and the girls getting along, or because they're from rough backgrounds? And how is that? I can imagine it'd be pretty rowdy.
Yeah, it was pretty rowdy, and I think for me, what I experienced most was that I never knew where I fit in. I'm Spanish, Italian, and Brazilian. So did I fit in with the white girls? Did I fit in with the Hispanics? And so there was a lot of just a lot of confusion with that, and so it was difficult to get close to the other girls. It was difficult.
And at 13, or by the time you got older, you still don't know who you are.
You don't. No.
And this is what's molding you. These years are molding you.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that must have been so difficult.
It was difficult.
So you aged out at 18?
So I aged out at 18. I went through school. I graduated from high school. I went to 2 years of college. And
that's amazing in itself that you enrolled into college.
I did. I actually took administrative justice of law, so I thought I was going to be a police officer.
Wow.
Because I grew up in that environment.
Oh my gosh.
So I appreciated that.
Wow, you appreciated what the police officers did.
What the police officers did, the law enforcement, they were ones that supported me sometimes through this and made it easy for me.
Oh my gosh.
Talked my way through it. Yeah, it was incredible.
You know what's funny that you say that when and a lot of you know my story, War Dad by Juju Sands. I wrote about growing up with a father with PTSD, and he lived a life of crime, and it was really difficult to see him go through that.
Yeah.
Thank God nothing physically ever happened to me, but emotionally and mentally,
Right.
Those things take a toll on a little girl. But the times when he would get picked up and I would be with him,
Yeah.
I'd get thrown in back of a cop car as well.
Yeah.
But they would always call a separate squad car for me. So he was in one, and they'd put me in the back seat of another one, and they'd take me to the station.
Right.
And they were so nice to me.
Yeah.
And they would always tell me, it's going to be okay. Where do you live? We'll take you to where you live, or whatever. But they were always so supportive of me.
Yeah.
And they never made me feel as if I was a criminal.
Absolutely.
Because that's what you automatically think. I'm one of them.
Right.
I'm in that lifestyle. That's you start to identify with that.
Right.
But they made it so that I didn't identify with that.
Absolutely.
And I so appreciated them. And my son became a police officer. And I do a lot of work with veterans, and the LAPD is also involved with that. And I totally respect them.
Yeah.
So I could see where you were admiring that field.
Yeah, that was the only thing that I had. I was
Wow.
raised around dysfunctional, and I was raised around other kids that had, problems, and I was absorbing those problems when I was there.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
you
didn't
take 'em
have. I
on.
took everything in. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you age out at 18
Yes.
and you go to college, but where are you living?
At that point, at 18, I was back with my mom. I was
Okay.
living with my mom at that
okay.
time. I was older now, so we did. I did move back in, regroup,
Yeah,
and move
okay.
back in, and then so I stayed there. And then after the age of, I was actually 16, 17, and I decided to get a job.
That's good.
Figure that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got a job.
You knew you needed money.
I knew I needed
right?
money, and I
You didn't
wasn't
wanna go
getting
without
money
that.
because
Okay.
my mom at that time was, we didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of money. We didn't have a lot of things, and I didn't grow up with all those things. And so I got a job, and I started at the bottom, and I worked my way up to a corporate level, which was
Oh
a grocery
my
store,
gosh,
one of the
wow.
biggest chains. And I worked from pushing carts day and night.
Really?
And I worked all the way through up to senior management when I left. And I was with them for 13 years.
So you young girls out there,
Yes.
she pushed carts. She pushed
I
carts
did.
to make money.
I did.
And I always say, you can do something.
Yes.
Don't tell me that you cannot find a job. You can do something.
I
You
did.
have to push carts, grocery carts.
I did.
Bag groceries, whatever. Flip hamburgers at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
There's something out there for you. You just have to be willing to do it and not be embarrassed. I've noticed nowadays girls, or just kids in general, their ego is so big,
Right.
and they're below or they're above
Right.
a lot of jobs,
Right,
and it shouldn't be that way.
Absolutely.
You should be able to get into a job and work your way up.
Yeah, I worked my way up, and I was just, I knew I was going to do it, and I didn't.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it was very impressive. I was very excited that I was able to work my way up and get into a management position. I did that for quite some time, so it was great.
So now tell me, you're working, you're trying to make things happen for yourself. How do you become a single mom, or how do you become a mom?
Okay, so so after I did that, I met a boy.
And I always say that, met a boy.
Met a boy.
'Cause at that age,
and
the boys, right?
we started dating, and everything was great, and we were preparing for a wedding first, but it didn't happen that way. I ended up getting pregnant, and at 32. So now we're jumping to 32 years old. Okay?
Oh, so you're 32. So you're
I'm
not,
32 at
you're
the
not
time.
a young single
I'm not
mom.
young. No, I've already been there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So I'm now 32 years old,
Which is good. That is so unheard of. There's
Yeah.
so many girls that were in your situation and they become teen moms.
But I was working in a career. I was pushing carts,
my
checker, all the way up to a senior supervisor.
That
So
is
I was working on my
awesome.
career.
You had the mentality, which a lot of girls need to have. Build your career first before you begin to bring kids into the picture. So all you young girls out there that want to have kids when you're young, build your career. Make sure that is stable, right? Before you bring kids into the
And
picture.
I had to learn responsibilities too. I wasn't taught responsibilities. I had to learn those.
You weren't taught how to mother.
No.
And no one is in general, but you really weren't taught how to mother.
I was not taught how to
It
mother
was just
at all.
you had an absent absent parents.
Completely.
Oh my gosh. So now you're 32.
Now I'm 32
Gonna get
and
married, but
I'm
it
going to
doesn't
get
work
married,
out
but it doesn't
that
work
way.
out that way. So I'm pregnant and I'm super excited, and I have my first son. And that was 33. So, and then at that time, I decided to resign from the grocery industry.
Oh my gosh.
And now we finally got married. My husband at the time was working in mortgages, and so he was in mortgages, and we decided that if I was going to stay at home with the baby, because I wanted to, then I was going to try to help him out with work. So at that time, it was back in the Conseco Finance Days secondary market, and I just started calling on leads. I had no idea what I was doing.
So this is in the 90s?
This is in the 90s, and this is when rates were at 13% and came down to 7.25%.
Yeah.
So I couldn't have picked a best time to get into it. And it was just so easy for me. I would sit with my baby and wait until he went to sleep.
Wow.
And I would go into a little room that we had, and I would pick up all these leads that were given to my husband at the time.
Yep.
And I would just start calling.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't even know what I was doing. I would just start calling and telling them that I could take them out of the 13%, consolidate their debt, and bring them into a 7.25% interest rate.
Wow.
And then I would fax. Back then it was faxing. I would fax everything over to my husband at the time, and then he would move forward with the conversion.
Oh my gosh. So you had a tag team kind of.
Yes.
So if you don't know what leads are, when you're in the real estate or mortgage industry or basically any sale industry, you'll get, and there's companies that sell names and numbers. So all you people that think your phone number is private, it's not private. We all know your number and we can get it. So you get this multiple list of phone numbers and people's names, contacts, which we call leads, and then you start calling them. So all those sales calls that you get, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
But back in the 90s, those leads were sold like crazy, and we had a lot more access to them. Now there's big privacy laws.
Right.
But we had a lot more access to them.
Right.
So that's what she's talking about. She would call at night. And
wow. Again, I didn't know anything. I did it just by getting on the phone and making those calls. I had no fear because I had already been through everything that I thought at that time when I was a child, that I didn't have any fear for making those calls.
Yeah. Well, you were fearless.
Absolutely.
Because when you come from a place where you were from
and had to do it
all by yourself, the fear goes away.
Right.
But that helps to mold you, and that helps you in your later life. When you're building multiple careers, because you're not afraid.
Right.
What do you have to lose? You've already been at the bottom.
Right.
So the only way up, or the only way to go, is up, right?
Right.
And that's how I was as well. I mean, that's why people say, aren't you afraid? No, you're not afraid.
No.
You have nothing to lose.
No.
You've already been at a position where you've lost everything.
And what was really cool about it is when I started making those calls, I was so surprised by the reactions that I got and the transactions that we were able to help other people.
Yeah.
And my husband at the time, I wasn't required to work at that point.
Oh my goodness.
He was already doing well in the mortgage industry, especially in that market.
But you wanted to.
I wanted to work. I wanted to work. I wanted to keep growing, and I wanted to learn, and I was going to do it.
That's really good. So that doesn't work out. The relationship doesn't work out.
Relationship doesn't work out.
You end up with your son.
I end up with both of my kids. I have two boys.
So you had two kids.
Yeah, I have. Okay, no.
Okay.
So then rewind again. I had another baby during that time.
Okay.
And so I end up with both boys. And we were struggling with that as a husband and wife and co-parenting. We definitely struggled, and but we made it work.
That's really good.
We did. And
that's really good.
We made it work. He moved one place, I moved another place, and we co-parented. And
how do you make it work? Because a lot of people, I know people that are going through divorces right now. Tell the audience, how do you make it work with your spouse or your baby daddy so that it benefits the kids? What did you do? What was the secret that you guys did?
You know what? We communicated a lot. He's very low-key. I'm not. And he was real easy to speak to. We did have our moments, just like everybody else, but we just sat down and came to an agreement that what was going on between us was not important. It was more important for our children and for us to stay focused on what we needed to do to bring our children up and to do this together as parents and co-parent.
You have to put your angry feelings aside, the hurt. you have to put it aside, right?
Yeah, you definitely have to put those feelings aside, and you know, you're confused during that time, and you know, I loved him. It's just we just couldn't live together and be together. You know, he's a good person until this day. We're very amicable.
That's really good.
Yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah, we talk daily about our children, and it's strictly just about the children. But we get along and we support each other on our decisions. And if we don't, we explain why we don't support each other on those decisions.
So it's communication. It's healthy communication.
Absolutely.
And that's key, you guys. If you're going through a divorce or you have a baby daddy or baby mama, communication is key. Suppress your anger. Leave the anger at the door. Leave the anger somewhere else. It's not worth it. Your kids are more important than your feelings or what you want to say, right?
Right.
They're more important than that. So that, I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of times people don't know how separated couples get along.
Right.
And it's all communication.
Absolutely.
And just being patient with each other,
Absolutely.
right? And loving the kids more, loving them more than the situation you're going through.
Yeah. I don't think that they've ever really been exposed to their dad and I really fighting a lot or arguing a lot.
Awesome.
We tried to leave that out, and I especially tried to leave that out because of where I came from.
Yes. Oh, yeah. You didn't
So
want
I
them to
wanted
go
to-
through that. You didn't want them to
Absolutely.
experience that. That's awesome. So now you're single. You have the boys. They're living with you, even though you have shared custody, but they're living with you.
Correct.
Are you afraid? Like, were you afraid? Did you think, who's going to want me? What am I going to do with these two boys? You know, what goes through your mind when you become a single mom?
Yeah, that definitely does cross your mind. You know, who's going to want me? But you know what? I was so focused on the boys, and I was so focused on my work at that time, because at that time I had now been into the real estate industry.
So now you're doing mortgages, or you're doing real
So
estate?
I am doing mortgages, and then now I went into an office, and now I'm leaving the boys at home with a nanny. So I had a nanny at the time, and she lived with us. She was from the Philippines, and so now I'm leaving the boys at home with her.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So here comes all the guilty feelings as
Here
well,
comes
right?
all the
'Cause you were
guilty
at
feelings.
home.
Yeah. So yeah, they were at home with her, and then I got into the mortgage side of it. I did very well in mortgages. And then I wanted to capitalize. I wanted to get into real estate. I wanted to help people. Even though I was helping people in mortgages, I wanted to help families.
Real estate's a different beast.
Yeah. And so because I had the education of knowing mortgages at that time and getting into real estate, I was able to excel, especially when I went on listing appointments, or I was able to talk about the market at that time, or whatever it was that I was bringing to the table. And so it was really helpful. So I felt so empowered by being able to know both sides of it.
It's awesome. It's awesome to know all aspects of real estate, because
Absolutely.
you're able to help your clients more.
Yeah.
So you're leaving the boys at home. You're working crazy hours. How do you keep that motherly figure, the motherly touch, the motherly presence to your boys? How do you do that and not lose your career? What did you do?
Okay, so this is where it becomes difficult. Okay, so I continue to work. Work was extremely busy for me at the time. We're jumping into a few years later, and I became one of the REO agents, which REO is real estate owned properties.
Those are the properties that went bankrupt or
foreclosed on. They went back to the bank, and then they would assign
sell them.
Right. They would assign particular agents to manage these properties, kind of like a property management.
Yes,
type
and it's
situation.
crazy when you get those. It's crazy,
Extremely.
and you never know what you're going to step into as well.
Absolutely.
Oh, I remember those days.
Yes,
Were horrible.
Yes. So, and I had a significant amount of business, and what I did was I built my relationships with the asset managers at that time that were assigning these properties to me. So I was extremely busy, and how I managed them as well is I would throw my kids into the back of the car with me, and I would be assigned properties. And when you're assigned properties, you have to get out to these properties within 24 hours.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, fortunately, one of the banks assigned me 50 properties at one time.
Oh my gosh.
One time.
And you have 24 hours.
And I have 24 hours to get out to these properties. So I threw my kids in the back of the car. We grabbed, McDonald's, whatever it was, and they went with me to as many properties as I could get to.
Oh,
and at that point, I
gosh.
realized that I need help, and I started building my team.
Oh my gosh. So you did not let the fact that you're a single mom
No.
and you had kids at home deter you?
No.
You threw them in the car and
Yes.
took them with you. I worked for a broker. She passed away. And when my daughter was little, she used to tell me, go pick her up from school and bring her to the office. And so she gave me a desk and an area in the office where I was connected. So my cubicle was double cubicle. And she had a table right on the side of me for my daughter so she can do her homework and color or do whatever she wanted to do. I can never thank her enough for doing that, because she made me feel like it's okay to be a mom. It's okay to be a working mom. And so I admire you for throwing your kids in the car and teaching them too.
I did.
That, hey, mom has to work.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me, when I brought my daughter with me to the office, the guilt went away because she was with me.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Did that go away for you, or, you know, did you ever feel guilty for leaving your kids at home? And
I did. I felt guilty, but what I was grateful for is my nanny. I would throw her in the car with us too, and then we would go to the office, my office.
Oh, okay.
And she would watch the kids and feed them while I completed whatever work I needed to do.
So you had the luxury of having a nanny, but most moms don't.
Right.
What would you tell the single moms that don't have that luxury? How do they make it? What do you tell them? What do they do with their kids? What would you say?
Well, you know, I'm hoping, you know, family. I didn't have any family, so if you have family that can help out with babysitting or helping you out with the kids, I definitely think that that's something that I would visit. Another thing is, you know, it's easy to bring the kids to the office, and there is space that they can sit and they can color, or they can get on the computer, especially nowadays when they are on the computer, and they can do their homework. And so, you know what? Just go for it. Just take them where you need to. If you can, it's a safe environment. And if you can't, then you know what? Reach out to somebody in your family that you trust, obviously, that would be able
that's
to.
huge.
Trust is huge. You have to trust
kids.
them, and have them help you out, and just, you know, keep on going. And
Definitely keep going. Don't look back. There's nothing back there for you. You got to keep looking forward. You have to have that forward mindset that nothing's going to get in my way. If you're having, for me, my husband traveled a lot, so I was like a single mom. I had the lifestyle of a single mom, although my title was married.
Right.
But there were a lot of times where I would do loan signings. I did that for a while. I couldn't take my kids to a loan signing.
Right.
So I would, you know, figure out who could watch them for a couple of hours, and it was hard because I'd have to rush to the signing and then rush back. One thing I would say to you single moms out there, and I know it's hard, but whenever you leave your kids with someone, make sure that you trust them.
Absolutely.
Make sure that you know that there's nothing harmful in that person's background. And nowadays, you can load your house with cameras. Put cameras that have sound, and just make sure that your kids are very well protected, so that later on in life they don't come back and say, well, you left me with so and so and they used to do this and that to me. You do not want that. You need to be careful of that. You need to be mindful of that.
Absolutely.
I say go for it. Follow your dreams, but make sure that your kids are safe.
Definitely key. And for me, I took them wherever I could take them, and I was fortunate that their dad was present, and so on the times that I couldn't, or he would have them, or he would watch them for me.
And that's another thing, you dads out there that are watching this. And by the way, if you guys are watching on the replay, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know that you're watching on the replay. I do answer you guys when you are commenting. And I don't know, I can't look at my phone and see who's commenting because of the way we're set up. But I will get back to you. Please share the show as well. Kerry has such a wonderful story, and I want this show to inspire a lot of people. And I know your story is going to inspire a lot of people. So let's get back to so now you're working. Kids are pretty much set. How is your life as far as dating? Like, what happens in that area? Because you're working, you have the boys, you have to be very careful who you bring into their life.
Yeah.
So what do you do as far as dating? And I don't know if that's too personal for you, but give us a little synopsis. Like, what do you do in that sense?
Well, I've been in relationships most of my life. And so when I was single, I did have a relationship with somebody, and unfortunately it was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And so that's very hard.
Isn't it hard to have a relationship because of your background and because of, you're on guard at sometimes for you guard your heart, and you're very careful because you don't want to get hurt again. So isn't that hard with that background of abandonment and loneliness, and how do you get past that?
That's such a good question. That hasn't really been that much of a challenge for me, and I say that because my background does not define who I am. My background doesn't make me who I am today. It's the teachings that I've had along the way. And when I get into a relationship with somebody, it's not something that is constantly brought up about my childhood.
Yeah.
We kind of go for where I'm at today.
Absolutely.
We touch on that a little bit, but it's not the factor in my relationship, and it certainly does not define me at all.
That is so important that you said that. And years ago, I used to get a lot of heat when I would say this, but I stuck by it, and I still stand by it today. I don't care what happened to you in your past.
Absolutely.
I don't care.
Right.
Forget about it.
Right.
Let it go.
It's the past.
It does not serve you. Mm-hmm. It's not going to get you anywhere. Mm-hmm. And if you keep talking about it, if you keep bringing it up with the new people you meet, then you literally place yourself back into that situation at that moment that you're talking about it.
Right.
And it brings back, it stirs up a lot of feelings. Mm-hmm. And there's no need for them.
Absolutely.
So it happened. Mm-hmm. Move forward.
Right.
Figure out how to get past it.
Agreed.
Learn new habits. Learn a new way of talking to yourself, of a new way of thinking, feeling. And I know that's what you're doing.
Yes.
So tell people, how do you tell yourself, I don't care what happened in my past. I don't care about all those feelings that I had, the abandonment, the loneliness, the tears, I don't care. How do you get to where you're at right now?
Well, Julie, to be honest, I really don't think about those things anymore because they are the past. So when I wake up each day, I do not think about what happened in the past and where I came from or what happened in my childhood. What I do is I feed my soul and my energy with nothing but positive affirmations. I read the Bible. I pray. And those are all the things that I do in the morning to get myself going. And one key that I do is I'm just like everybody else. I have bad moments, good moments.
Yeah.
I have rough days, challenges. I've been through some challenges myself. And what I do that I think is very important is I only allow myself a time frame to be upset.
That's really good.
Yes. So, for example, if I have a breakdown...
So you allow yourself to feel.
I allow myself to feel, and I allow myself to have breakdowns, and I allow myself to cry, and I allow myself to do those things, but I leave time frames. So, if something happens in the morning and it's something that it was a challenge or something that wasn't news that I wanted to hear, I might get upset about it, but then I say, okay, I'm going to be upset about this I'm going to give myself an hour or give myself 30 minutes.
And after really
30
good,
minutes,
yeah.
After 30 minutes, I'm done. I'm going to move on to the next thing. I'm going to put that behind me, and I'm going to go out and look for things that are going to inspire me,
yeah,
and motivate me.
Yeah.
And that's just where I go with it. And so I allow myself a time frame.
That is so good, you guys. Like, seriously, that, I think if anything, did I spit? Oh my God. See, I told you I like to show the flow and just be open.
It's all good.
Actually last week, something happened in my day, and I was driving, and I said, no, I'm not going to cry about it. Right. I'm not going to cry about it. I'm just going to ignore it. But that wasn't what I was feeling. Mm-hmm. I was really distraught, and I was really hurt. And I said, no, then cry, because then you're going to hold it in. And mind you, these are the conversations that people like Kerry and I have with ourselves. I said, no, then you're going to hold it in. So you need to cry. So I'm on the freeway, I'm driving, and I'm bawling. I am crying.
You need to give yourself that time.
I did. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, you need to cry. You need to let it out. I had to spit out those emotions so that they can come out of me and then be gone.
Because if you don't, you're going to carry that the rest of the day.
And I'm going to think about it. But if I allow my body to release it and then say, okay, you're done.
Right.
Had my cry, I'm done. Now what am I going to do about it?
Right.
You always have to allow yourself to feel the emotions. Don't suppress them.
No.
Feel the emotion, deal with it.
Absolutely.
Get it out. And then figure out how you're going to work out the problem or get past whatever you're going through. And I think that's really key for you and for your success.
Yeah.
And has brought you to where you're at now.
Right.
Because you refuse to be a victim.
I am not a victim.
You refuse to be defined by your past.
Right.
And you wake up every day and you begin it from where you're at that day.
Absolutely.
So where are you today? And if you're not where you're supposed to be today or where you want to be today, then get yourself to that place. But it starts up here.
Yeah,
right?
we can definitely have war with our minds. And for me, attitude is everything. And so if you can change your habits morning and change those habits and change your attitude.
And it starts the minute you wake up.
It starts the minute you wake up.
Right.
It's the minute your feet hit the floor. Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said that. I do coaching. I coach women. And one of the exercises, the first session, their homework is every morning before your feet hit the floor, I want you to give thanks for 100 things. And when you begin to get yourself in that habit, and sometimes the things will repeat themselves, and that's okay. But when you begin to get yourself in a habit of giving thanks for 100 things every morning before your feet hit the ground, before you know it, as you're walking to the restroom, as you're in the shower, as you're driving, you're like thanking, for me, I'm thanking God like all day, every day, for everything. And you become a walking gratitude.
You embrace that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're just a walking gratitude, whatever, talker.
It's because you fed your mind that. What you feed your mind is what you take in. And so if you can feed your mind all the positive things and empower other women and empower people and help them and inspire them, you feel so good about being able to do those things.
And I love your story because despite what happened to you, despite that the marriage didn't work out, despite that you're a single mom and all these feelings, who's going to want me? I need to build my career, but I need to pour myself into my boys. Despite all that, you wake up every day.
Every day.
And you say, I'm going to strive to be better today.
Yes.
With everyone.
Yes. And I don't quit. I do not quit.
You don't quit.
No. I'm not a quitter.
And you still, even till this day, look for ways to better yourself.
Absolutely.
Look for ways to make money. Whatever comes that sounds good, you're not afraid to try.
Right.
And I think that is key for you single moms out there. Don't be afraid to try. Turn off the negative chatter that you're telling yourself. Get out of your own way.
Get out of your own mind.
Yeah, get out of your own mind and get out of your own way.
Right.
If something doesn't serve you, if something is not going to take you to where you want to be, drop it.
Yeah, and you have to try. You have to try. You don't know. Our minds, like I said, it just gives us so much that's going on and filling ourselves with, and you just have to keep trying, and
what do you do? I'm going to jump into the kids. What do you do when your boys are teenagers? I think you said they're 16 and 19. And you're
Correct.
also a grandmother, right?
I am.
Oh
I'm
my
a
gosh,
grandmother.
you must be in love.
I am in love with him. He's 9 months old.
Oh my God. I have two grandbabies, boys.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
Oh my God, thank you. I know how you feel about them. They're just such a blessing.
They are.
So what do you do when you begin to go through the teenage years and the kids start to act up and you're afraid that you're going to mess up? You're going to mess them up. How do you handle kids going wayward or, kids giving you problems? Because they all do. What do you do? Where do you find that strength?
Okay. So can I go a little bit deep?
Absolutely.
Okay. So some people out there know this, but my good friends, I do have my 19-year-old that has been a challenge.
Oh, okay.
He has been a challenge. He was involved in drugs.
Okay.
Okay.
And he's okay with you telling his story?
Oh yeah, he's totally okay. Yeah, he got involved in drugs, and so that was very, very hard challenge and a crucial time for me.
How did you find out that he was? dabbling with this stuff?
Okay, so we raised our children. We moved to Rancho Cucamonga for a reason. We wanted to be in an environment where there were better schools and affordable, and we would be able to take care of our children. And so when we moved to Rancho Cucamonga, our children started going to Edwanda, Grapeland Elementary, junior high, and they were great schools.
Yeah, very good schools.
Credentials were awesome there. Curriculum was awesome, and so they went to school there, and then along the way, my oldest son was distracted by the wrong group of friends, and he, again, didn't know where he fit in. And it's so easy when we think that we have a hold of our kids. We have a nanny at home. We watch our kids. They don't go to babysitters. My ex-husband takes them, or I take them.
Yeah.
And they go to school, and they're exposed.
Absolutely.
And they're, for whatever reason, they're exposed to negativity. They're exposed to different types of environments, different types of groups, and they don't know. They're children.
Yeah,
you know?
Kids that come from different backgrounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And so my oldest child, he got around a bad group of friends. And he started doing some things that definitely were challenging for us.
Yeah.
And there were nights where I was very depressed. I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh my gosh.
I cried. I was lost again. I felt defeated. I didn't know what I was going to do because I'd never had experience with that.
Oh my gosh.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. It was very scary. And my son lived on the streets for 45 days.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to look for him, but I was not going to give up on my son's darkness.
Oh my gosh.
And I fought. And it cost me time in my career, and it cost me sleepless nights. I found my son in places that you don't want to ever find your children. And I did. And I just prayed and prayed. And that's kind of when my story started a little bit with him. And we fought through. His father and I fought through it. And we got through it. And he's been really good now. And my grandbaby I have. And so...
Wow.
Yeah, that's another story itself.
Oh my gosh. That is, I think that's a mother's worst nightmare is for their kids to get involved with, drugs and go wayward. And it's just something that you don't ever wish on anybody.
No.
But I'm glad that you were able to get through it. And the message that you would have if a mother is out there watching right now who has kids that are on drugs, what would you tell that mother?
You need to be present. You need to be present and really monitor what your children are doing, who they're communicating with, who their friends are. Monitor those things. It was very important for me to be present and pay attention because they will give you the signs. And so,
what are the signs? What are the signs when the kids are on drugs? Like,
withdrawing themselves, staying up late at night, not sleeping, their appetite, their skin, their complexion, the way that they look, and the list goes on.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you started noticing those changes?
I started noticing those changes.
And you knew there was something wrong.
Right.
And so another thing you said is fight for your kids. Don't give up.
Don't give up. I faced other parents that were involved in my children's life that were actually the ones that were helping out with his situation, and I faced them.
Oh my gosh. And that's key. You have to fight for your kids. Don't give up. Go look for them. Get them out of the situations that they're in because you're all they have.
I went to look for my children.
Yeah.
My son, yes.
The parents are all these kids have. So you have to be able to gather that strength. Don't be afraid and get out there and look for your kids and help them as much as you can. Sometimes they don't want the help, but fight until there's no more fighting, in them, not in you.
Right.
But fight for your children. It's so funny because we were only supposed to go a half hour. I think, what do we have left, you guys?
We have about
5 to 10 minutes?
Yeah, I was gonna say 10.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I know. I told you it's going to go by fast, right?
Yeah, it is.
It's funny. Everyone that comes on the show, they're so nervous at first. And I'm like, don't worry, it's going to go by so fast. And before you know it, we get into this conversation.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why it goes by so fast is because this is like real life stuff.
It's real stuff.
I bring real people onto Imaginate who have gone through real life situations. And they're here to help you guys. They're here to tell their story so they can help you guys. So now let's talk about, and one reason why I wanted to have you on and I liked your story is because you're one of those people that there is so much information out there. Thank you. There's so much information out there there's no reason why anyone should be broke. So you have your career in real estate, but you have a passion for beauty in the beauty industry.
Right.
With all the information out there that we have nowadays, social media and all these different beauty companies, tell me why you chose Jeunesse.
Yes.
Tell me why you chose that company.
That's a great question.
To start your second hustle, your side hustle.
This is my second hustle.
Yeah.
So, as you said, I wanted to have a multiple stream of income, basically business in between my escrows. My residual bills were continuing to come in. Sometimes the deal would close in 30 days, sometimes more. And I just wanted to make sure that I was always having that income coming in. And I'm not going to lie to you, there has been times where it's been very stressful and very difficult and very challenging with that. Being a single mom, I never collected a dime from my ex-husband, by the way. I was never paid any child support or anything like that. It was all my own doing. I went out and I made it work. And yes. So with Jeunesse, I have my partners are Conrad and Jill, and they we've been friends for about 25 plus years. Okay. And I've watched Conrad in the back when it was Monavie.
Oh yeah, I remember
extremely
Monavie.
Successful in the business, and we were such close friends that he just thought it would be just a great idea to introduce me to it. And because I am all about self-care,
that's important.
Taking care of yourself.
You have to take care of yourself.
You have to take care of yourself, self-care, exercising, and this was right up my alley. It was youth enhancements.
Okay.
And it was everything from facial products to, and they're just not products. They're more than that, to shakes, to protein, to how to eat,
and they have
the
logo up on the screen. There's a logo there. I think there's also your contact information.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's all about self-care. I've been using the products for about 3 years now, and they're absolutely amazing.
Oh my gosh.
And so I love them, and I love to share, and I love to help people, and so that's why I got into it. I wanted to get into something else that I would have a passion for besides my real estate, that I could help people and continue to help people.
Exactly.
And so if you don't feel good and you don't take care of yourself, it's really hard for you to go out there and sell, to be a real estate agent and to be in front of them and to be
anything with sales, right?
Anything,
or in anything, in any career,
right? So you need to feel good. You definitely need to feel good, and these are just amazing.
So you sell real estate with Realty Masters,
correct?
You concentrate in Rancho Cucamonga, or what cities are your focus?
Well, mostly Rancho Cucamonga, Inland Empire, San Bernardino, and then I also do some off-market investments for some investors that I work with. We do those as well.
Awesome.
And I do that with First Look Investments, and then I also do the Jeunesse, as well as a mom, grandmother.
Oh my
and
gosh.
all of those things.
You're like the whole package.
And I cook too.
And you cook.
And I cook.
That's funny. It's been a blast having you on the show. I know that your story is going to inspire many.
I hope so.
And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Don't stop telling your story.
No, I won't.
Don't stop. I see a book in your future. There's so many girls that need your story, young girls that are in the foster care system right now that need your story and that need to see that you can make it.
Absolutely.
You just have to grab a hold of your story, cry, let it out, write, do whatever you're going to do, and then put it behind you.
Absolutely.
And use it to promote yourself to bigger and better things. So anyways, well, you know what, you guys, that's it. It's over. Episode 11. I want to thank you for tuning in. Again, please share the show, share it with your friends, share it with your Facebook community. And I will see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you guys later.